We're ready to proceed, so we're going to go through it again. Can you read your, can you tell us your name and your DOC number once again, please?
Louis Bellard, 76617.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bellard, and I think I already introduced the panel to you, but let me do so again for your guests. My name is Cheryl Renatza. This is Mr. Roche seated to my left, Mrs. Wise seated to my right. Let me acknowledge your guests. Well, first, let me ask your attorney to introduce herself.
Good morning, Mr. Renatza. My name is Amy Myers on behalf of Louisiana Parole Project, and I wish to make a brief statement at the end. Thank you.
Okay. We also have Mr. Kerry Myers from the Parole Project. There with you, we have your sister, Ms. Catherine Dearman, a niece, Lisa Stybender. I'm sorry if I messed that up. And another niece, Jennifer Coward, and a family friend, Mr. Robert Guffright. Thank y'all for being here today, and we'll hear from Ms. Catherine and Ms. Lisa at the appropriate time. First, let me just read some identifying information into the record. Mr. Bellard, you're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a life sentence for a conviction in Calcasieu Parish, sentenced January 1974 to life for a first-degree murder. Your parole eligibility under Act 544 was June 17, 2022. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case has been assigned to Mr. Roche. Would you answer any questions he may have?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Bellard.
Good morning.
Mr. Bellard, you're currently 73 years old,
Yes, sir.
and you were about 23 years old when you committed this crime. Is that correct?
Correct.
So tell me exactly why you need to spend 50 years in jail. What did you do?
Crime.
What did you do while you're in prison?
Oh, I've if I may, when I came up here, I had a negative attitude. I was illiterate, couldn't read or write. And one day, you know, I used to do drugs. One day I was in the cell with this dude and I seen him shooting his neck. And I opened my eyes and I seen myself, you know. So that night I went to bed and I said, no, I got to make a change, you know. So I cut all that loose. Then later on in life, again, I was in the cell with another dude.
Sir, let me stop you. What did you do to get you convicted of murder?
What happened with your crime?
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. I killed Mr. Hugo C., you know, a friend of mine, you know. He was always complaining for a little over 2 years about he was sick, you know. He was suffering. He wished he would die or somebody would kill him, you know. And this went on and on and on, you know.
So why did you tell the police when you were arrested? I just want to kill somebody, and so I knocked on Mr. C's door. I announced myself, walked in, and shot him in the head.
It's all right. It's just hard to talk about, you know. Like I tried 3 times, but I couldn't succeed. The last time I did, I shot him in the temple because I figured, you know, it would be quick death, you know. It just hurt me.
You're telling me this morning you killed Mr. C because he wanted to die.
I'm saying that he always said he wanted to die, or he wished somebody would kill him, you know. And this went on for about two and a half years. You know, we used to sit on the porch.
Okay, why wasn't that in the police report? Why didn't you tell the police that when you were arrested? I read the police report, 3 or 4, 5.
It's hard to talk about, that's why, it's,
If you wanted to die and you were doing exactly what he wanted you to do, why did you get rid of all the evidence? The motor to the boat, the gas tank, you just got rid of all evidence that you were even there.
I did. I didn't want to get caught. I'm gonna be honest, but I didn't want to be caught. But later, I told my sister, which I knew she was gonna tell them, and I got arrested, It's just hard to talk.
When you got arrested, you told the police, I just want to see and want to kill somebody.
I did say that.
You went to Mr. C's because you knew it'd be alone. It was a secluded area in an island off the Calcasieu, and nobody would know that you did it.
Wow.
Okay, let's continue. You've been incarcerated for about 50 years.
Sir.
You pled guilty to first-degree murder, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you ever try to appeal the sentence that the judge gave you?
No, sir. Never.
Now, you're classified as a third felony offender. So tell me exactly what were the 2 felonies before the murder of Mr. C?
The first one was cattle rustling. We was all drunk. We was young, all drunk. And we're riding down the country. We seen a little calf, So we decided to put it in the trunk of the car and just drive off. We was all drunk. Later on, we just dropped the calf off, And when I got arrested, I wrote the people that own the calf. And I told them, when I get out, I'll be glad to go to work for them to pay for the calf back. And they accepted that.
And what was the first one?
Juvenile delinquents of minor.
Yes, okay. That you remember very well. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your present job assignment is a janitor in a tractor repair outlet. Tell me what you do on a daily basis.
Well, I take care of the tool room, I'm an orderly for the tools. I keep up with everything. I got an inventory every day, During ACA, I gotta make sure everything's in order. Every piece of tool, every day. And when somebody come get a tool, I made them sign out for it, that I wanna know where it's at, And I help clean up,
Now, Mr. Bellard will tell you quite frankly, today is about how you performed over the last 50 years since you've been incarcerated. And I'm going to start off by saying you committed a cruel, a senseless, and a brutal and premeditated crime in killing a human being. Over the last 50 years, you've had 380 plus disciplinary write-ups. Deplorable, terrible, horrendous. The only good thing about that is your last disciplinary write-up was about 9 years ago. So tell me exactly what happened 9 years ago where you started following the rules and regulations of the facility.
When I first came up, I had a negative attitude towards security. I had no respect. As I went on, like when my mother died, when my mother died, they took me to her funeral. And they showed me all the respect in the world, you know. That was one step there towards security where I changed my attitude towards that, you know. I seen we're all human, you know, no matter what, you know. And when I started learning how to read and write, I was illiterate. When I started reading how to write, I started seeing things better, you know. I was so easily manipulated before, you know. Now I can read and write, and I know what's right and what's wrong, you know.
Okay. How long have you been the true shed auditor? How long have you held your current job?
Um,
How long have you held your current job?
oh, the one I have now is training academy, about 2.5 years, something like that, you know. I'm a yard artist.
What was your job before this one?
Tractor repair. And
How long did you have that job?
ooh, I'd say about 3 years, you know.
How long, what job did you hold the longest?
At Camp C, you know, I held that job close to 8 years. I was a
Okay.
weed eater.
Okay. Now, you've lost 193 days of good time during your incarceration, but you hadn't restored any of those days. Why?
Say it again.
You said you didn't have any of your good time restored. Why didn't you have your good time restored?
Oh, I've never really asked for it, you know.
You should.
Yes, sir.
Now, you've been incarcerated for 50 years. The first indication of any program is 2017. Why did you wait 44 years to enroll in your first good time plan?
All right. Like I say, you know, it was hard for me to read and write. I didn't know. But through a cellie, he taught me how to read and write. I mean, he showed me the basics. I stayed about 1.5 years. We separated. But I continued to try to learn how to read and write, you know. In 2006, they didn't start school until 2006, you know, for the life. If you had a life sentence, you couldn't go to school, you know. And in 2007, I had a stroke, you know, that left me paralyzed on my right side. But I never stopped trying to learn how to read and write, you know. I've gained my health back, but it took me a long time, you know. I just wouldn't give up.
Now, I've seen since 2017, you've completed Living in Balance, 100 hours pre-release, and you're currently enrolled in anger victim awareness. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did you get out of Living in Balance?
Living in balance. I learned, you know, that
Living in balance. One of your programs that you did.
yeah,
Living in balance.
that was
It's a substance abuse course.
substance abuse. All right. I learned about what alcohol does, you know. It destroys the mind, makes you do things that you normally wouldn't do when you're sober and regret it later, you know. You know, things like that, you know.
Now,
'Cause
tell me what you're getting from victim awareness.
victim learn responsibility and accountability for my actions, the harm that I cause people and the pain, denial, you know. The only way you can go through life is not deny it. You have to see things for what it really are so you can move on, you know. If you deny it, you'll get nowhere, you know. It's like when I was illiterate, I had to see I was illiterate so I could move on, you know. And
Mr. Bellard, everybody in this room knows that Mr. C was the victim. But who were the other victims of your crime?
come on.
Who were the other victims in the crime?
My family, you know, all of them were victims, you know.
How about Mr. C's family?
Shoot.
Take
I
your
just,
time, Mr. Bellard.
I just get choked, you know, on that there. When the consequences of it behind my actions, you know, I affected so much grief and pain, not only to the victim family, my family, you know, because I had to put them through all kinds of changes just because of me, you know. I caused so much grief, you know.
Now,
And
Mr. Bellard, and I just want to state right now, and
it doesn't matter.
full responsibility for your action is of paramount importance to me today. And your statement about this euthanasia, it doesn't sit well with me, simply because you were probably on drugs, probably on alcohol, and you just wanted to see what it was like to kill somebody. Am I right?
No.
Okay. I'll leave that, okay. Now, in 50 years, there's no GED and no literacy. Why?
Like I said, in 2007, I had a stroke. In 2006, that's when they started class again for the life sentences, you know. And when I had the stroke, I was confined to a wheelchair because I was paralyzed on my right side. And it took
Okay.
years before I could get my health back, you know. But
So you had your stroke in 2006 and 2007, right?
207.
They say it took you 8-9 years to recover. So why didn't you enroll in literacy when you recovered and started working towards your GED?
I was, by me not get around, you know. I couldn't get around like I wanted, but I never give up on my education, you know. I learned how to read and write. I could read and write. I wrote a book, you know. And one time I couldn't do that, you know.
So tell me, did you get any vocational training while incarcerated?
I learned how to drive cherry picker, tractor, combine, forklifter, things like that. Everything I learned things like that, you know.
You have equipment operator.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I saw no indication that you belong to any organizations. Did you belong to any organizations while you're incarcerated?
No, sir. You know, I haven't, you know.
Did you do any community work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot.
Point lookout, hospice, anything?
I can, like I have a job, you know, training academy. I do yard art.
Okay,
But anytime, you know, somebody needs something to be done, I do it, you know, without argument or nothing, you know, and enjoy doing it, you know, by helping. I did that a lot of times, you know. You know,
so basically your community service is to help somebody that needs some help.
yes, sir. Help them any way I can.
Some of the positives that I see that we have a low risk assessment score. You are housed in minimum custody, so you're not a security threat. And I want to get to the opposition, and there's nothing you can do about this opposition. You have an opposition from the entire legal community. 50 years after your crime, the judge submitted a statement in opposition. The DA's office submitted a statement in opposition. And the chief of police of Lake Charles, Louisiana, also submitted a statement in opposition to your early release. You also have opposition from the victim's family. Warden Amber, do you have any comments, remarks, or observations at this time?
Yes, sir. Offender Ballard twice was scheduled to enroll in the TAVE testing while he was here at LSC. His first scheduled test date, he did not take the test, and on his second one, August 12th of 2021, he did take the E-level examination, so he has tried to achieve his high set. He refused anger management, and he's currently enrolled in victim awareness.
Okay. Thank you, Warden Amber.
All right, what do you want?
Bellard, after committing this horrendous, senseless, premeditated, why did you refuse to take anger management?
It was good to take anger management, you know, because it teaches you how to control your emotions, you know.
Why did you refuse to go to class?
They say you didn't do it. but
Yeah.
Did you do it?
No, at first I did refuse it because I didn't think it was nothing anger management, you know, until I heard people talking about it, you know. And I said, well, yeah, I'm gonna take it, you know, because you learn how to control your emotions, you know, how to
So
release.
you really didn't understand what anger management was until you got to the chance where you learned to read, write, and understand the words anger management, and it's something that would help you to control your anger in situations.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, thank you, please, Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. All right, at this time, we'd like to hear from the Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We plan on providing extended term support for Mr. Bellard. He will be considered a long-term resident of Parole Project's housing. We will make sure that he has access to all services that we can provide him, not only in our transition services, but medical, social services. We'll make sure he's connected to his health care. We'll make sure he's connected to his SSI and other benefits he may receive. In addition, he'll have a community of other people who are similarly situated, who are still in our housing. So he'll have a community that surrounds him. He has been estranged, he is still connected with his family, but it's been a very long time since he's lived with his family. That may end up being his future, and it may not, but we're committed to keeping Mr. Bellard in residence until such time we see how that might work. And if we need to find him permanent housing, we will. If it works out that he goes with his family, all the better. But we are committed to making sure that his transition is safe. He is no threat to society. You can see at his age, to public safety, at his age and his health, and his temperament. I'd like to point out, when you talked about his disciplinary record, Mr. Roche, his early disciplinary record was not one that you would be proud of. You're right. But in the last 18 years, he's only had two disciplinary write-ups in the last 18 years. That is a significant change. He also came to prison at a time where the thing to do, especially for a 10-6 lifer, someone who was, was supposed to go home in 10 years and 6 months when he pleaded guilty, was to keep your head down, find a job, make yourself valuable to a supervisor. That's what they did. That was a mindset. That was, some people recognized when opportunities came, and some people kept their heads down and continued to do the same thing. That's what Mr. Bellard did. He kept his head down. He made himself valuable. He's been a hard worker. And in the last 18 years, as I said, he's only had 2 disciplinary write-ups. So we're here because he is a 10-6 lifer, and to be considered for this, particularly because he did plead guilty to his crime. And so we are offering, again, our long-term support for him, and to try to do everything we can to assist him in his transition. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can we hear from Ms. Catherine Dearman? You can keep your seat. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. And you are Mr. Bellard's sister?
Yes, I'm Catherine Dearman. I'm his sister.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. Anything you want us to know?
I would love for him to get out and come live with me the rest of the time we have. We having a family reunion next month, the 20th. I'd love for him to be there. I just want to spend more time with him. I love my brother.
Ma'am.
And I think he's been here long enough. He's
All right.
paid the price.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Lisa, can we hear from you?
It's actually Jennifer.
Oh, Miss Jennifer. Miss Jennifer.
Oh, okay, Jennifer.
My
Go
name,
ahead.
my name's Jennifer Coward. I'm Lewis's niece. He went to prison when I was very young, but about 4 or 7 years ago, I met him at my aunt, his sister Doris's funeral, and we interacted and loved him then. And I'd love to see him get out so we can get to know each other even better. We have a big family, and we would just welcome him with open arms, and just love him, He would be loved and he would be well taken care of.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, I think that's all. Mr. Robert Gumpright, did you want to speak?
Sure. My name is Robert Gumpright. I'm a family friend and a Christian minister from DeRidder, Louisiana. And I know the family very well. I know that they're ready to support Lewis in all of his endeavors when he gets released. And sitting and talking with Lewis today, I've been in this situation before, being in a seat like that with folks like you on the monitor. And I know it can be very nerve-wracking for Lewis. And I can tell you that just a couple moments ago when we were in the room, he shows a lot of remorse for his crime. He knows what he did. And I feel like he has served his time and learned what he needed to learn here. I think the state's done their job, and I think his family's ready for him to come home. And we have a church ready to welcome him and bring him home. Thank you.
Thank you. I just had one other question of Mr. Bellard before I ask for a statement. Mr. Bellard, you mentioned you wrote a book. Did you say that? Did I understand you correctly? Did you write a book?
Yes, ma'am. It's considered it's called nationality, Bush baby. I know it sounds silly, but my mother, she didn't want me, all right? This is fiction, all right? My mother didn't want me. So she threw me in a bush and abandoned me, in a thorny bush. The second chapter is about the bush, the thorny bush, all right. We all equal, no matter what nationality we are, So the bush itself, with all the vines sticking out, represent equality. The thorn on the bush represent hatred. If you allow the thorns to penetrate your heart, eventually it will destroy you. But if you don't feed the thorn, eventually the thorns will rot and fall to the ground. All right, now when I go to the third chapter, it's speaking, there is the root. The root is God, The root is everything. That's where we get all our nourishment and everything from God, And like I say, it's all the same thing. The bush, we're all equal, no matter what.
What an interesting story. Thank you. Is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we turn it over? Yes, sir, Mr. Rocha.
Warden Amber,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you a couple questions, please. Is the sex offender treatment program available at Louisiana State Penitentiary?
Yes, it is.
How long do you think it would take to get through all 4 phases?
52 weeks.
A year? Thank you, Warden Amber.
All right, Mr. Bellard, is there a statement you'd like to make to us before we turn it over to your attorney?
I like to say but I feel very remorseful for what I've done, taking Mr. C's life, and for causing so much pain and grief to the victim family, and their family, and my family, that I put them through,
Yes, sir, thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Myers.
Okay, I'm going to make my question. Thank you. Mr. Bellard is a very concrete thinker, particularly before he had the opportunity to become more educated. He came to prison with a 6th grade education and with what I think is pretty safe to say an undiagnosed intellectual disability. And he has struggled through the programming, and the way that he's become educated is through extreme hard work. I understand Mr. Roche's incredulous reaction to the motive here, but from meeting with Mr. Bellard numerous times and talking to him about this crime at length, it's clear to me that there was no malice or anger in his heart when he committed this terrible crime. And he really was taking Mr. C literally in a really terrible way that he would not do today. Mr. Bellard pled guilty, took responsibility, did not waste the state's resources with numerous appeals, and has now waited 50 years to come forward for this opportunity today. And he is a long way away from the person who made this terrible, terrible decision to commit this crime years ago. Mr. Bellard has a loving family to come home to, as well as the full support of the Parole Project. And we have dealt with cases like Mr. Bellard's, and we understand the unique needs of somebody who spent 50 years in prison. Given the fact that he's no longer a risk to public safety with a low risk Tiger score, I please just ask the board to consider the extreme amount of time that Mr. Bellard has done and the incredible progress and transformation that we can see has happened here. On behalf of Parole Project and Mr. Bellard's family, we pray that you recommend him for parole today. Thank you.
All right, panel prepared to vote.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for executive session.
I second. We have a motion and second for executive session. I do concur, so it's unanimous. Stand by just a moment. We'll be in executive session to discuss confidential matters. We are prepared to vote. Mr. Roche will be voting first.
Mr. Bellard. Mr. Bellard,
Yes, sir.
I have one question before I render my decision. Do you have a step nephew by the name of Allison Boudreaux?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Thibodeau.
Thibodeau, yes, sir.
Did you testify in a trial where Mr. Thibodeau was convicted?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Ballard, you've been incarcerated for a very long time. And when you pled guilty to killing Mr. Hugo C., you anticipated being incarcerated for 10 years and 6 months. That's the bargain you made with the state of Louisiana. And the state of Louisiana changed the rules before the 10 years and 6 months expired, and you were not grandfathered in on your plea agreement. So I'm going to grant your request today, but before you're released, I want you to complete anger management, in the first 3 phases of the Madison Sex Offender Treatment Program.
Yes, sir.
And you know exactly why I'm making that a requirement, right,
Yes.
sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So your request has been granted, but you must complete anger management in the first 3 phases of sex offender treatment.
Yes, sir.
After, please, you'll have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And you are to report to your parole officer weekly for the first 8 weeks. And
And this is why. All right, Mr. Lewis, I tell you, it was great meeting you today. You've come a long way. I'm inclined to take a chance on you today, but mainly because of the Louisiana Parole Project. And secondly, seeing your family here, seeing your support here. That's, don't do anything to hurt that. My vote is to grant as well. I concur with the conditions set by Mr. Roche, but I would like for you to stay long-term with Louisiana Parole Project and follow their guidance. You know, I'm sure you can visit your family, but follow their guidance in terms of housing situation. And I would like you, about 6 months after release, enroll in general counseling so you can talk to somebody to help you sort some things out. Best wishes to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Bellard, I do concur with my colleagues. My vote today, based on your 10-6 plea agreement, your age, length of incarceration, Mr. Grant, with all the same special conditions. So today, sir, you got a bit of work to do before you're released, but your parole's been granted. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.